So I want to be fully manual, but then I want to have the tools to say, hey, P, you're an idiot, you're overexposing. Or branch has moved a little bit and a little spot of light's come and hit her on the ear, but you can't see that. But when you've got something flashing at you, you see it straight away. You say, well, I'll just move a little bit. So I'm for that point, but even on the Hasselblad, my favorite Hasselblad is the H650. I have 3 of them because you can't repair them. Once they break, they're rubbish bin. The backs, that is. They've got no spares for the back. They're irreparable. But I just bought another one. It's the H4D-200. It's a 50 megapixel multi-shot, but it's a CCD sensor.
Oh, okay.
So the ISO 50, ISO 100's fine. Forget anything else. It just goes terrible. But if you're ISO 50, you're getting you're getting a full, sorry, she'll come in a minute. She's a bit slow coming down the stairs.
That's fine.
If you're shooting at 50 ISO, you're getting about 14.5 stops dynamic range. And you can recover 2 stops of overexpose on top of that. Fully recover. Just by bringing exposure slider down, you get all the detail back in all 3 channels on the old CC. And the dynamic range of that is my favorite in the world. But I've got to be shooting 50 or 100 ISO, which is not always... In the studio, it's doable. With natural light, it's not so doable.
Well, exactly, and but even with constant light, it's probably pushing it a little bit.
Constant light, yeah, I'd be using flash. Constant light's just too bright on the models. They squint the whole time, and people forget that side. With a flash, we can throw f16 on them. With a constant light, much more than 5.6, they're squinty.
And that's a really interesting point, because I remember speaking to Jake Hicks the other day, who you might know his work. It's very, very colorful, very
No, Jake. I know him well. Yeah.
Yeah. And he told me he's just recently switched to LED lighting, so he's moved away from strobes entirely, which I sort of found interesting because I'm still fully embedded in the strobe landscape. I like shooting with strobes. It's a personal preference. Have you ever been tempted to go that way?
I've got both. I've had HMIs for a long time. The biggest problem is my studio is very daylight. We got a lot of light in our studio. So as soon as I go with constant light, if it's a sunny, cloudy day, it affects my ambient light a lot. So commercially, it's just not viable. I grew up on strobes. I'm completely happy with them. I'm shooting tethered. I don't even have modeling lights turned on. I'll take my shot. Yeah, move this a bit, move this, and take a shot and just do my setup. And I think fine with the strobes too. I've got so much control over everything, whereas the constants, if I had a black studio, yeah, fine. But with my studio, I just don't have the control I want. I still use them a lot, and I like using them, but I know that if it's going to be an overcast day, I'm fine. If it's going to be a bright sunny day, I'm fine. But if in Melbourne we have a thing called 4 seasons in one day, so it could be a bit hard in Melbourne.
Sounds familiar. Over here in London, I think it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yesterday was incredible. We went from, it was about 22 in the morning when I got up, a bit overcast. Then we had some thunderstorms and rain. Then by 4 o'clock, it was 40 degrees.
Wow.
Then by 6 o'clock, it was back down to 21.
I mean, here, over here, it's not, the temperature doesn't necessarily change that much, but it's literally, the clouds change, or the weather just generally changes so dramatically that, 1 minute, like today, 1 minute I was sitting on the sofa trying to get the glare off of my screen so I can actually see what's going on because it's that bright and sunny. Then I take the dog out. 5 minutes later, it's overcast, and literally 10 minutes after that, all hell breaks loose, and it's like the rainstorm from hell. It's just all happening, and and it's dark, so it's all happening within the space of like an hour. That's the British weather for you right here.
Yeah. No, we see it a bit when we normally come to England, State Shoreditch quite a bit, and we see the weather change there a lot.
Yeah. Um, I like what you said about your daylight studio, because I have exactly the same issues. I have an extension built, and when we built the extension, we stupidly I thought it would be a good idea to have a skylight put in, which turned out to be probably the worst choice, because it's just a nightmare. I can't really control the light in there unless I shoot with strobe. So I'm kind of I'm kind of stuck with that, for the time being. Um,
Well, I've got 3 skylights, and I could put some screens on rollers and pull them across, but I'm using them all the time. I love it when a client goes, "Yeah, we'll shoot natural light today," and I just use my windows and the skylights and situation. So I really enjoy working that way, just with natural light, not even scrims and natural light. But, yeah, with strobes, it's the only time it's ever a problem is if someone wants me to shoot a car, and I just tell clients, "I don't have a car studio." My studio's not for car shiny things, and the studio's definitely not for sound.
Hey, let me just jump in real quick to tell you about the amazing sponsor of this episode, Platypod. Platypod offers innovative camera support systems designed to unleash your creativity. With their stable, versatile, and portable solutions, you can capture stunning shots like never before. And I'm not just saying that. As the host of the Camera Shake podcast, I can personally vouch for Platypod's incredible products. They've become an integral part of the show. In fact, I'm surrounded by various Platypod products holding up lights, cameras, microphones, and so on. It's really helped to transform the way I make the show and the way I shoot at home, in the studio, and on location. But don't just take my word for it. Explore Platypod's website at www.platypod.com to discover their range of products, including the Platypod Extreme, Platypod tripod heads, and the brand new handle, of course. Make sure to follow Platypod on Instagram and Facebook at Platypod Tripods for exclusive updates, tips, and giveaways. By choosing Platypod, you're not only investing in your photography, but you're also supporting the Camera Shake Photography Podcast. Thanks again to Platypod, our amazing sponsor. Platypod, where innovation never sleeps.
I want to talk to you about exposure. How do you expose for black and white shots, or what is it that you expose for? Is it the skin tone, or how exactly do you operate that?
And I'm normally exposing for highlights because you can't fix them. There's nothing worse for me than, even if we're on a beach and the white water in the surf is completely overcooked, which means you can see some bubble, then it's just a white patch in the middle. And I don't want to sit there for hours cloning in surf bubbles to try and get rid of that blocked up. And same with sky. So I do tend to, look, I set my in camera, or even with the Hasselblad when I'm tethered, I'm setting at 245 is where my alert goes off. And I look at it carefully and just say, well, no, I can't handle that clipping. I do really enjoy the dirt and that comes in when you underexpose and bring up a stop and a half. So it's given me that stop and a half of bringing back the subject if I need to. So I much rather work that way. I do like my blacks to be black and not muddy or noisy. But when I'm normally working, say if I'm working on a beach or something, I'm normally at 100 ISO anyway. I'm not going to get much noise brought into the blacks, and you don't have a lot of black on the beach as well. So I'll underexpose so I'm not clipping in areas that I don't want to be clipping.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.